Welcome back to the channel, and today I want to give you a few quick tips on how to check a misfire on your car. Today we'll be checking out this Honda CR-V. Now you would usually feel a misfire. My wife said that when she was driving this car it felt like it was shaking, but the check engine light will come on. Sometimes it'll be on steady, sometimes it'll be blinking. Normally if you have a blinking check engine light, then you definitely want to pull over, check out what it is, or at least go to a shop and have it diagnosed as quickly as possible. But I'm going to show you a few quick things that you can check on your own if you have just a few tools, and they're not too difficult. One of the most common things that you can check that's not really too difficult to check on most vehicles, the most likely cause is going to be bad coil packs or bad spark plugs. So I'm going to show you how to do it on this CR-V, where it's pretty easy to get to. First, you want to remove this plastic cover on top of the engine. It's a 10mm socket. Now if your check engine light is on, you're going to want to get it scanned by a scan tool. There's a lot of some you can buy, 20, 30, 50 bucks. They're pretty cheap. You can get some that you actually have a device that plugs into the car and it Bluetooths to your phone, where you can use your current phone to diagnose your car. Typical check engine light for a misfire is going to be a P0300. That would be a misfire that it can't really figure out which cylinder it is. This is a 4-cylinder car, cylinders 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if it's a P0300, that means it's all of them just every now and then sporadic. Those are kind of difficult to find because it could be numerous other things. But what we're going to be talking about today is if it says P0301 all the way to P0312 or 312, that's if you have a 12-cylinder car. Pretty sure if you have a 12-cylinder car, you're not doing this yourself. But obviously a 4-cylinder is going to be easiest because you have all the coil packs on top. But also in a transverse mounted engine like this is an all-wheel drive car, but it's still transverse mounted, which means it's mounted sideways. So the front of the engine is over here. First thing you want to figure out is the numbering of your cylinders on your engine. Typically where the belt is, where I have my power steering pump here, crankshaft, pulley, alternator, all that's on this side. Where the pulleys are, the first one closest to it will be the number 1 cylinder, and then it just goes from there. 2, 3, and 4. So this car had a P0302 code, which means misfire on the number 2 cylinder. So if we look at the number 2 cylinder, you see the coil pack on top. One of the easiest things you could do is, if you have the tools with you, you can even do this on the side of the road. If you have your own scan tool, you see it cylinder number 2. So it's pretty simple. You'll take your tool that you use to take the bolts out of the cover to get the cover off. Take your socket, 10mm socket, and you'll take this bolt out of the coil pack. You unplug it here, unplug it from the system, take that bolt and you'll pull it out. Now a lot of times these coil packs will be stuck. This is a coil unplug setup, and what you want to try to do is spin it back and forth like this, and a lot of times that'll break it free where you can get it out. So what you want to do is you pull that one out and swap it with the easiest one, which would probably be number 3. So then you take number 2 out, put it up here, up on top. Then you do the same thing on number 3. Take the bolt out, unclip it, take it out, put it immediately in number 2 so you haven't lost track of it. Put the bolt back in, clip it in, take number 2 that you set up here, put it in number 3. Then once you do that, you swap number 2 and number 3. You want to get back in the car, turn the key on. You want to reset the trouble codes. It'll make the check engine light go off. What you want to do is crank it back up. When you crank it back up, it'll run rough again, because of course all you did was you swapped 2 coils. You want to crank it back up, and then you want to wait until the check engine light comes back on again. When it comes back on again, plug in your scan tool, and if it's switched, if it now says a P0303, then you know that coil pack moved from number 2 to number 3. You know the coil pack is bad. It's real simple. You go to auto parts store, get you another coil pack, put it in, you're good to go. If it still says number 2, then what you want to do is, the next best thing is to check the spark plug itself. So what you want to do is, you don't have to switch this back and forth. You just take the coil pack back out, 10mm bolt, unplug it, pull the coil pack out, get a spark plug socket just like this. It's going to have some type of rubber on the inside. What that does is that keeps the ceramic portion of the spark plug real tight in there, so when you loosen it from down in there in the engine, you can pull the spark plug out and it's sitting there inside the socket. So then what you want to do is you can swap the spark plugs. Now spark plugs aren't usually very expensive. If you wanted to, you could go ahead, especially on this car, it's real easy to get to. You could just replace all the spark plugs, but I would even just check it out anyway. So you can go ahead and pull these two out. I said you wouldn't earlier because you already swapped 2 and 3, but since they're easy to get to, you can go ahead and pull them out. So take number 2 coil out, put it here. Take number 3, put it there. Take those spark plugs, pull number 2 out. You want to look at it, see if it looks good. And a lot of times the newer plugs, the iridium plugs, you can't even tell when they're bad. I mean, I pulled all 4 of them out of this car and they all look good, but actually number 2 plug was bad. Take number 2 plug, put it up here. Take number 3 plug, take it out, look at it, then put it in number 2. Take number 2 that you set over here, put it in number 3. Put that coil in, put that coil back in, button everything up, turn the key on, reset the trouble codes, make the engine light go out, crank the car up, and see what happens. Now on this car, when I did that, the misfire moved to the place I put the bad plug, which is over here on 3. Then I knew I had bad spark plugs. In that case then, Which Auto Parts got 4 new iridium spark plugs. NGKs are really, really good spark plugs. This car has 189,000 miles and had the original plugs in it. They went a long time. Those new plugs, it was only 4 of them. They cost $47. You may think that's pretty expensive for some plugs, but they last way longer than the old style plugs. Put all new plugs in, put your coils back in, crank it up. It should be good to go. Now, if you do that and it still says P0302, then you're going to have to keep going. What I would do then, this is your fuel rail right down here. A little more difficult than getting the spark plugs and coils. That's why I want to do those first. But you want to make sure that you relieve the pressure out of the fuel rail. This one has just 2 nuts here where you can pull this fuel rail up. You can do the same thing that you did with the coil packs. You can take number 1 and number 2 fuel injector if you want to. You can swap those, put them back in. You got to be real careful you don't break the O-rings. Put that back in, hook everything back up, crank it up, and see if it moves. So that procedure would be the same way that we diagnosed plugs and coil packs, but it would be for fuel injectors. Beyond that, a engine misfire gets a whole lot more difficult. I hope you don't have that difficult of a problem with your car, but if you do, you can leave comments, you can ask questions. I'll try to answer them the best I can. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this helped you out. We hope you have a great day, and we hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. We'll see you later.